Hey, BCT here, and welcome to week 8 of the VDL. We are currently going to be playing Auto of the Tricky Treeckos, and they are currently first seed in their division. I'm currently locked for first seed in my division, so this isn't the most important match for me. Actually, me beating them will increase the likelihood of me actually playing them to playoffs, so as can be a little bit annoying. So we kind of went with a weird team here. All of my Pokemon are min speed in hard Trick Room mode, and and so the idea is I want to get Trick Room up. I have Trick Room with Fluttermane, Bruxish, and Medicham, and so one of those definitely needs to become in the lead. And I decided I want to lead Hariyama so I can have Fake Out pressure on top of a Trick Room setter. I considered Fluttermane because Fluttermane can be really good. It's just better, one of the better offensive Trick Room setters I have on my team. In addition to that, it is pretty good defensively into a lot of the Pokemon. However, I don't want to get risked of getting like Terra Flying Dragonite or something like that because I can't fake out a Dragonite. And so with that, I decided to go with Bruxish because Bruxish is guaranteed to survive an attack from a Terra Flying Dragonite. And like I said, I want Hariyama for fake out support so I can get up Trick Room pretty comfortably. And then from there, there's a couple of debates in which should be on the back, but I decided to go with Fluttermane and Medicham because I think those are just generically the best Pokemon. And I don't want to kind of too much of Slacking because, like I said, Slacking is, needs some sort of prep, in which I do have Medicham and Swalot who can both help get rid of its ability. But with that, let's get into the game. So they end up leading Poltegeist and Sylveon, and I lead the Hariyama and the Bruxish. And so here I have a pretty clean just fake out and set up Trick Room. The big question is whether or not I want to Terra in order to get rid of my Ghost weakness, expecting them to possibly go for a Shadow Ball into the Bruxish. Obviously, if they don't go for Shadow Ball into Bruxish, I would prefer not to Terra because I'd rather be able to Terra later on. However, I decided it's probably worth Terraing to just guarantee to be able to get Trick Room because if I can't get Trick Room up, I'm in really bad shape. So we Terra, water the Bruxish, and we get to fake off into the Sylveon. And however, they just go for a substitute onto their Poltegeist, meaning that I didn't really need to go for the Terra. The Terra ended up being unnecessary here. However, I am able to get Trick Room up with no damage being dealt to me, and I'm able to get Hariyama up with the Flame Orb. And so here, I could go for the damage on just, Rock Slide or, knock off into the Poltegeist. However, I think that's overly risky because Sylveon threatens massive damage and possibly can even just one-shot my Hariyama. So I needed to go good damage into it. So I decided to go for the Wave Crash and the Rock Slide. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe this double up should kill the Sylveon. And the Rock Slide should definitely break the substitute on the Poltegeist. However, they just switch out Sylveon into what I would expect to be Tauros, which it is, to get Intimidate off to lower both of my offensive stats for both my Pokemon. With the Intimidates, we see the Rock Slide does really little damage into the Tauros. However, it does do enough damage in order to break the substitute on the Poltegeist, which is good. And we are able to get a Wave Crash. This is Terra water boosted. However, this is going to be resisted, and I'm at -1 attack now. However, it does do pretty okay damage at maybe like 20%. And Poltegeist goes for a Shadow Ball, which is able to do pretty good damage, just under 50%. However, with the burn damage from my Flame Orb, I'm definitely probably going to die to another one. So now, the plan here is just to kind of try to kill this Poltegeist with the that, and then the Psychic Fangs of the Tauros just does the best damage here. Poltegeist Hariyama should kill Poltegeist with a knockoff. Psychic Fangs probably doesn't kill Tauros. However, it should do enough damage where I'm expecting it to be probably a 2-hit KO if I was to guess. So they just go for a Protect on the Poltegeist, and they also go for a Protect on the Tauros. So definitely makes sense. This was, a pretty clear play for them to, just stall out Trick Room turns and also to see my attacks that I decided to go with. And with this, I reveal that I'm going for Psychic Fangs into the Tauros slot. And so with that information that I just revealed them, I'm expecting them to switch in Skunk Tank into the spot I just went in with Psychic Fangs. And so with the Skunk Tank switch in, I want to go for a Drain Punch into that spot. And I decided to go for a Terra Water Wave Crash into the Poltergeist spot because I think that does big chunk of damage, possibly even kill the Poltergeist, and is also good if they want to switch into Sylveon into that spot. They do in fact switch out Poltergeist into Sylveon, which is more or less kind of what I expected to see here. And they also switch out the Tauros and the Skunk Tank exactly as I expected. This is why I decided to switch up my attacks, because I was expecting them to expect me to do the same turn. And as we can see, even at -1, that Drain Punch does almost 50% into Skunk Tank, and I get some relevant healing back. And then the Wave Crash into Sylveon, though not enough to kill it, is going to do a pretty good chunk of damage. Basically, bringing it down to, about 25%. And they reveal to be Black Sledge on the Skunk Tank, healing a little bit of HP. So now we are at the last turn of Trick Room, and because it's the last turn of Trick Room, I'm expecting a double protect here. So I decide I want to switch out the Hariyama because I don't want to take the burn damage. I want to be able to cycle in the Fake Out later on. And so the option is between Fluttermane and Medicham. I decide that I think Fluttermane is more likely to survive some of these attacks, and I switch in the Fluttermane here. And then here, like I said, I'm expecting them to just double protect. However, I go for a Wave Crash into the Sylveon here, trying to get the kill because I will actually kill it. I don't think a Wave Crash would kill the Skunk Tank from this range. And so the guaranteed kill if they don't protect seems like the best. So we switch on the Fluttermane, and they do, in fact, go for Protect on Sylveon, and they also go for a Protect on the Skunk Tank. So completely as I expected. So, a reasonable turn. And the Wave Crash goes into Protect. And so we got the clean switch in, which I'm pretty happy with. And now we have Fluttermane out in front of 2 Pokemon. Obviously, we're in a little bit of awkward position because I do need to get Trick Room up. However, I think we should be able to get Trick Room up pretty cleanly by just Trick Rooming with Fluttermane. And I can either switch out or go for the damage. I decided to go for the Wave Crash into Sylveon since that should kill it from this range. And I do not expect them to be able to kill the Fluttermane unless they go for a hard double up. And I don't expect them to go for the double up because Bruxish seems like the Pokemon more likely to set up Trick Room. So they go for a Helping Hand, which I'm very surprised with to a certain extent, but also it makes some amount of sense because they're probably expecting me to outspeed with the Fluttermane. However, I do take that pretty well, like not amazingly, but enough where I probably take another one without a Helping Hand boost, and we're able to get a clean kill on the Sylveon with the Wave Crash there. And in addition, we were able to get Trick Room back up, which is pretty good for us. And in addition, they all are also, down a Pokemon, and I'm feeling pretty good about my position now. So they bring out the Poltergeist, and I am definitely expecting them to not think that my Fluttermane is slower than both their Pokemon, and them not to go for a Protect and try to kill the Fluttermane. And so I'm hoping that I should be able to kill this Poltergeist with a Shadow Ball, and then be able to get some damage with a Wave Crash. I think maybe I should have doubled up the Poltergeist with a Wave Crash and a Shadow Ball just in case to guarantee I get the kill on it, because like I said, I don't expect Poltergeist to protect because any reasonable person would expect Fluttermane to not underspeed both of these Pokemon. And however, because I have Iron Ball, I'm actually going to be able to underspeed everything on the field in Trick Room here, or outspeed everything on the team with Trick Room. And as we see, we are, in fact, the fastest Pokemon in Trick Room, and the Shadow Ball is able to get the kill, but it was a crit. I don't know if the crit mattered or not. However, like I said, I probably should have doubled up just in case it did matter. And here we're able to get a Wave Crash off and be able to get a pretty good chunk of damage, hopefully. And we see that, yeah, a pretty good chunk of damage. Another Wave Crash would kill. And here they just go for a Poison Jab, getting the kill on Bruxish. Which is a little bit annoying, but mainly annoying because now they can use Sucker Punch, not even the fact that I lose a Pokemon. And so now the decision is between Medicham and Hariyama. The plus side of Hariyama is I can Fake Out. However, if they double protect, it doesn't really matter. So I think the correct play here would be to bring in the Medicham because it has max HP. I should be able to take pretty good hits. And I can save the fake out for Hariyama later on if somehow they're able to stall out Trick Room. However, I decide to go with the Hariyama instead, which, like I said, I think is probably the wrong choice. And I think Metacham would have been the correct call here. Because in addition to that, I'm going to take a little bit of damage from Burn Ship if they do go for a double protect, which seems fairly likely. And they just bring out the Tauros, which is the last Pokemon, and they get they inhibit it onto the Hariyama. And so, like I said, here the obvious play for them is just go for the double protect and try to stall a Trick Room and not get faked out. I decided to go for the Moonblast and the fake out into the Skunk Tank in case they sucker punch the Skunk Tank. They protect the Skunk Tank and they also protect the Tauros. And so, like I said, I think if Metachan was on the field, I'd be in a little bit better position because I would have fake out for a later turn. However, now I still am in pretty good shape because I should be able to take a sucker punch based on the damage from the poison jab, and I should be able to get a clean kill on one of these Pokemon if I go for the double up. And so I decide to go for the Moonblast into the Tauros and the Drain Punch also into the Tauros. I think this also might have been a slight misplay. I think I should have Drain Punched into the Skunk Tank and Moonblast into the Tauros because Moonblast should kill Tauros and Drain Punch, based on the damage calculated previously, should also kill Skunk Tank. So I definitely think this was also a slight misplay, and it shouldn't get punished unless they crit with the Sucker Punch, killing the Flutter Mane. I definitely survived that if they don't crit, which is really sad because, and on top of that, because I kind of went for the unoptimal attack there, I was not able to get a kill. And if I was able to kill the Skunk Tank, I would have been in pretty good shape, especially if Tauros didn't have a Citrus Berry on top of that, bringing it up to pretty high HP, and the Zen Headbutt ends up doing pretty good chunk of damage. Now we're in really bad shape, and all we can really just hope for is that Metachan somehow can clutch us out. I'm a little bit sad because I ended up running safety goggles in case they ran their Toad School, but I actually originally had a Citrus Berry on it, and Citrus Berry would be really relevant here. So here, like I said, I don't expect much to be relevant. I just go for a Psycho Punch, Drain Punch into one of their spots. It doesn't really matter because I'm expecting a double protect for the last turn Trick Room here. And as we expected, they did in fact go for a protect on both Pokemon, stalling the last turn of Trick Room out. Like I said, I definitely think I made a couple of minor misplays throughout these games. However, I definitely think we're still have a non-zero chance if we're able to take a hit from one of these Pokemon and get a kill on these. Because Metacham should be able to kill Skunk Tank from this range, and with the HP recovery from from Drain Punch, I might be able to take another attack or 2 attacks from Tauros here. And so we decided to just go for the double up into the Skunk Tank. Like I said, I don't think it really matters either. With the Hariyama, it should die here no matter what I click into. However, like I said, I should be able to possibly take 2 hits based on the HP recovery from this Drain Punch. They go for a Terra Ground onto the Tauros. This definitely is a little strange to me. Like, I don't, I guess it's to play around a Psycho Cut and to me. However, they go for a Sucker Punch, which does okay damage, not the biggest. However, they go for Earthquake, which I was not expecting the slightest because that ends up killing their own Skunk Tank and giving me what I believe an out, in which I probably wouldn't have had otherwise. Because I might be able to kill them with this Drain Punch here because I'm not intimidated with this Metacham. And I go for the Drain Punch and just miss out on the KO. I actually originally had Axle Kick on it instead of Drain Punch, and if I had that, I actually might have been able to win. But sadly, with this, I don't think I'm going to be able to survive another Earthquake now that it's single target. Definitely a little bit sad. It was a very close game, like I said. Obviously, the crit was the major deciding factor. But however, I think a couple of minor plays here or there definitely hurt me that I could have played a little bit more optimally, and we end up losing game 1. Like I said, definitely wish I played a little bit cleaner there, and definitely wish I didn't get crit and was able to get the clean win. But with that, let's get into game 2. So we're here for game 2. So based on what happened in game 1, I definitely want slacking on my team this game. I think that the damage output on it seems really helpful, and just being able to have some reasonable damage into everything. And so the best way I can kind of deal with partner slacking is to put it next to Metacham. And I can, in theory, be able to, set up Trick Room and then skill swap at the following turn. And then, be able to, try to get Trick Room up and then get me, huge power slacking off. But the big question is whether I want to risk this as my only means to activate Slacking's ability, or whether I want Swalot in the back to also use Gastro Acid to nullify the ability in case for some reason Metachan dies, or if they have like a priority move that prevents Slacking from using the ability. And so Swalot doesn't seem like the best because they have multiple Terra Ground Pokemon on their team, and that could definitely punish Swalot notably if I bring it. And so I definitely would want Hariyama and Fluttermane instead. However, I feel a little bit pressured to bring Swalot in case I can't get the skill swap off into the Slacking. And so I definitely want to just have it as something in the back that can use it. And then my last Pokemon is between Hariyama and Fluttermane. I decide on Fluttermane just because I want to have some special attackers. And so with that, let's get into the game. So they end up leading the same exact lead as game one, the Poltegeist Sylveon, and I lead Slacking Metacham. So here I could go for just Facade into Sylveon or Rock Slide. I technically a little bit considered Terra Poison just to be able to take a Hyper Voice a little better, but I decided it's not worth it since I'm pretty specially bulky this week with my Slacking. And so the big question is Facade into Sylveon or Rock Slide just to get a little chip damage. And then the Metachams didn't go for Trick Room here. And so I decided to go to the Rock Slide. After that, the big question is, do I want to Terra Steel or not? Terra Steel lets me possibly survive a double up from them if they go for like a Moonblast and a Shadow Ball. And so I decided to go for the Terra Steel to guarantee that I should be able to set up Trick Room. They decided to switch out the Sylveon and get up get into Tauros, which is not too big of a deal because I am Clear Amulet on my Slacking. And so I don't get the Intimidate, and I am able to get the Terra Steel, which means I should pretty much guarantees to be able to set up Trick Room unless they have Trick Room on their own Pokemon. And we go for the Facade into the Tauros, which does almost 50% into it, which is really big. They get the Shadow Ball off into the Metacham, and they crit me, bringing me really low. But luckily for me, because I decided to Terra, I survived that, and I definitely would have not survived that if I didn't Terra. And so here I can Rock Slide or Facade depending on if I'm expecting Tauros to protect or not. And so that's basically the two options. I decided to go for the Facade, and then here I basically have to go for the skill swap into the Slacking. Hope they don't have Aqua Jet into Tauros. If they have Aqua Jet into Tauros, I'm actually in really bad shape because they will kill the Metacham before I can skill swap, and the Slacking won't be able to attack this turn. So Tauros protects, and and I'm able to get the skill swap off and get pure power onto the Metacham, which I'm pretty happy with. However, they did not protect the Poltegeist, which means sadly, if I would have gone for a Rock Slide, I probably could have killed it. However, with this, we're just, kind of just get the skill swap off and nothing else successful through his turn. And so here, Metachan now has Truant, so it's pretty much useless. So I definitely want to switch it out. And here I'm going to switch it out into probably Swalot because it's better defensively. And then the Facade here is pretty much guaranteed to kill the Tauros, but also probably kills the Sylveon on a switch in because that is a huge power damage with the pure power plus stab from Slacking with its really high base power. As we see, we switch out into the Swalot. So one of the reasons why I wanted to target the Tauros specifically is fighting coverage into my Slacking will be really annoying. However, I actually found out later that Tauros does not have any fighting coverage. And given that it had no fighting coverage, I actually would probably better to just ignored it and gone for, a Rock Slide. However, one thing that we do notice is that's really annoying is that Poltegeist is actually faster than me within Trick Room of my Slacking. So even though Slacking's 0 speed, min speed, it's actually a little bit faster than these Pokemon, which is somewhat annoying because it just has such a high base natural speed. And so with this, they're able to bring out Sylveon. And so there's not much for me to do, just go for a Rock Slide, try to break the sub and do a little damage. and I decided to go for the yawn into the Poltergeist. I mean, to the Sylveon. I would preferably like to go into the Poltergeist. However, because the Poltergeist has a substitute and I'm faster than Slacking with Swallow, I won't be able to yawn it. So they do just go for the Protect onto the Sylveon. And the yawn gets blocked off. But like I said, I couldn't really target the Swallow or the Poltergeist spot here. And they just get for a little bit of extra chunk with the Giga Drain. However, I am going to be able to get a Rock Slide off, and that should be able to break the sub, as we can see. And so here, I just need to hope I should be able to take a double up, and I just go for the Facade, which killed the Sylveon. And I'm going to go for a yawn on one of these two Pokemon. And the question is, do I want to do the Poltergeist or the Sylveon? And I decide to go into the Poltergeist spot because, in theory, I should kill Sylveon with the Facade. And that's kind of the hope. Decided to go for their Terra Dragon on the Sylveon. I'm expecting this is to be able to take maybe a Gunk Shot or some sort of poison move from my Swallow a little bit better because, theoretically I could one-hit KO it if I was more offensive leaning. However, I just go for the yawn, and the Moonblast ends up doing a massive chunk of damage into Slacking because it's Life Orb, and the Giga Drain just barely gets the kill. Yeah, so if they didn't protect the Falling Turn, I would have been able to take that double up. That was very close on that damage roll there, sadly. And if they weren't life, I'd also take it. So definitely a little bit sad. However, here I'm basically in a really awkward position because Trick Room is over, and now I'm forced to basically bring in the Flutter Mane because Metacham is just going to die if I bring it out, and so I can try to set up Trick Room. So here, I can go for some damage, but pretty much the only reasonable play is just go for a yawn, and I can go for the yawn into a expected switch out into the Sylveon or a yawn into the Poltergeist. And I decide to just go for the yawn into the Sylveon switch out that I'm expecting. I mean, the Sylveon. Yeah, I yawned into the Poltergeist the previous turn. So they bring in Skunk Tank. They get a Moonblast into the Flutter Mane, which sadly does a very big chunk of damage and gets the special attack drop. However, we are able to get a yawn and make this Sylveon in an awkward position. The special attack drop is pretty sad. However, luckily for me, I'm able to get Trick Room up. And so here I can expect Sylveon to probably switch out and Skunk Tank to go for a Sucker Punch. And so I want to read that and switch out into the Metacham, expecting a Sucker Punch into that spot. I think I should be able to take a Sucker Punch, but I want to get rid of that special attack drop. And here I can go for a yawn into the Sylveon spot or a yawn into the Skunk Tank. I'm not sure what the best option is. I can also just go for a little bit of damage. Definitely a little bit unclear because I definitely feel like I'm a little bit on my back foot even though I am in Trick Room, but I just decided to go for this yawn, to kind of forcibly make this a 1v1 pair where I'm able to switch in Metacham. So they switch out the Sylveon into Poltergeist, which is more or less what I would expect. And they did go for a Sucker Punch, so I pretty much read the turn perfectly, and we were able to get a yawn off into the Skunk Tank and Metacham in for pretty much for free. And so here, now, there's not much we can do except, go for a little bit of damage. I could try to, read some crazy stuff, but I decided to just go for a Drain Punch. So this is where it's a little bit risky of whether or not I'm going to expect them to switch or not. And I decided to just go for some damage into the Skunk Tank spot with a Drain Punch and a Water Pulse into the Poltergeist. I definitely don't like my decision to go for the Water Pulse into the Poltergeist. I definitely think I should have yawned. I understand about it, and also I think maybe I should have gone for a Psycho Cut and read the switch out. Obviously, if they didn't switch out and they didn't go for Sucker Punch, the Drain Punch was the correct play, but as we can see, this Water Pulse does almost no damage, and I get the Curse Body activated, and here the Drain Punch also does pretty good damage. However, a Psycho Cut would have probably killed. However, we can see at 67 HP, this Shadow Ball goes into my Metacham and actually kills it. So one of the things that's a little bit sad is that without the crit on turn one, that would have been enough HP to survive a non-crit Shadow Ball. However, I'm not in terrible shape. Like I said, the Drain Punch gave me some HP. Could have possibly helped me live, especially if I didn't get crit on turn one. Now there's not much for me to do except go for some damage. I decided to Moonblast and Yawn into the Poltegeist. I don't know if this is quite the right play. This is a little bit risky because, but in all honesty, I'm not in great shape because I went for that Water Pulse. If I yawned last turn, I think I would have been a lot better shape because then I could, attack and yawn the following turn. But now I'm in a little bit awkward position because they can just go for Protect, and stall out some Trick Room. However, luckily for me, they did not protect Sylveon, which means I'm able to get a Moonblast and kill the Sylveon here, putting me actually not in the worst shape. This game is definitely going to come down to a very tough end game that I just need to hopefully be able to kill this Poltegeist with a Shadow Ball next turn, because I should be able to take a Sucker Punch as we see in the damage calcs. They just protected the Poltegeist, and so if I'm able to kill Poltegeist with a Shadow Ball here, I should be able to possibly get the win here. And so I do that, and I decide to go for the Yawn at the Skunk Tank, which will put me in very good shape the following turn if I'm able to get this kill on Poltegeist. They go for the Sucker Punch. As we see, I do survive, and shows that I probably would have survived game one if they didn't crit that Sucker Punch. We get the Yawn off Skunk Tank, and we get the Shadow Ball into the Poltegeist, and hoping for this to get the kill, and it's not even close. Definitely a little sad. This is one of the downsides of my Poltegeist, or my Flutter Mane this game. Obviously, they decided to attack Swalot instead of Flutter Mane. However, because Trick Room just expired, there's not much I can do. I decided to just go for a Yawn to Poltegeist and try to set up Trick Room. Maybe they, for some reason, don't attack my Flutter Mane, or some reason they just go for a Sucker Punch into it. That's basically all I can hope at this point. They go for another Shadow Ball into the Swalot, which does pretty good chunk of damage. However, luckily for me, I am not only a Recovery Berry, I'm a Pinch Berry, so I get a pretty good chunk of healing with Ogwav. And they do just go for the Poison Jab and are able to kill the Flutter Mane. So at this point, the game is pretty much over. Even though there's a good chance that they Skunk Tank only has Poison and Dark moves, there's not much I can do because my literal best damage into Skunk Tank is Water Pulse. So my only out at this point is to kill the Poltegeist before Skunk Tank wakes up, and then try to get a confusion on Skunk Tank and just hope that it kills itself, basically. So they decided to protect the Poltegeist instead of attacking in order to try to stall out turns of sleep, which, I don't know if that's smart or bold, but definitely was not what I was expecting, because Shadow Ball probably would put me in range of a Sucker Punch from Skunk Tank. However, now both of them are asleep, and I'm not in the worst shape in which I can just Water Pulse, hope to get some kill on the Poltegeist. So Skunk Tank stays asleep, and Poltegeist also stays asleep. And we're hoping to get a 2-hit KO with this Water Pulse because we know it's not a 1-hit KO. And it looks like a 2-hit KO. Would have been great to get a crit there. Maybe I could, be in okay shape. But here we just go for another Water Pulse, trying to get the kill. Luckily for me, Skunk Tank sleeps the max number of turns, giving me, maybe a little bit of hope that I can win this. And Poltegeist also gets another turn of sleep as well, which is huge. So really lucky on those sleep turns. However, sadly for me, it's not that big of a deal because I don't think I can be able to beat the Skunk Tank. And so here I decided to go for the Yawn because they're guaranteed to wake up here, and they end up going for a taunt, which is pretty sad for me because not only can my Yawn end up not doing anything, this means that they can Sucker Punch me without me being able to prevent it. And Sucker Punch is going to do a pretty big chunk of damage to me. And as we can see, it does a little bit less than a 2-hit, or it looks like a 3-hit KO, but as we can see, my Water Pulse is doing so little damage, especially with Black Sludge. And now pretty much the only hope I can do is to hope I can get a confusion and then them literally hit themselves like 6 times in a row. We get the Water Pulse off, and Don't get the confusion, and with that, the game is over. So a little bit sad that we lost 2-0, especially because I think game one, if I didn't get crit, I probably win. And but overall, I definitely think that I didn't play super clean. There's a couple of plays I made that were a little bit awkward. But like I said, I think in the end, this match doesn't matter too much. My opponent thought it mattered so little that they decided to have Chat GPT make their entire team, and that's what the Thunbell is referencing. But with that, we got first seed into the playoffs, which we locked in last week with our win, and we are going to have a bye, which is really good. This is going to be the furthest we've ever made playoffs, or tied for the first we ever made playoffs in the VDL. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.